Hey all, to everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Am I audible and clear? Okay, thank you very much. And just for your information, I'm keeping all of you on mute. Any doubts or anything, you can just post it in the chat channel. I would be regularly watching the chat channel. Okay, this is just to make sure that there is no background noise is coming. But after the introduction, definitely I'm going to again open the forum for the Q&A. Right? Fine. So let me just start this slide. So as a part of our course, right, a 3 weeks course, this is going to be starting from today, and we are going to cover Power BI and Postgres SQL, right? And this is Hari, your trainer, going to facilitate you about this training. And we are going to target Microsoft Power BI Data Analyst, PL300 certified, right? Now, everyone has a question. Why to learn Power BI and PostgreSQL when there are many courses in the market, right? And I'm giving a honest answer, right? There is no harm in learning any course in the market. It's just about how much we are learning, right? And how we are mastered in that course. That really matters. Whether we are timing it's a artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, micro data analytics, machine learning, or Power BI, right? All these are demand. We have well demand in the market, right? And how we are going to land into the job is that we ourselves making sure picking up one course and be SME subject matter expert in that one, right? And gain the required level of knowledge so that it would be easy to land a job, right? Now, as a part of our course, we are covering the data warehousing, PostgreSQL. It's a database management system, and the Power BI. It's a visualization tool, data model visualization tool, right? Now, many students has a question. Yes, we are saying Power BI, then why we need to have a data warehousing and also PostgreSQL, right? So whenever we are dealing with the data, right? Data would be resides in the files, disk, right? And in organizations, majority of the data would be lying in the databases. So which means as a part of Power BI course that it is very important that we also know about a database, how database looks like, how it works, right? So if someone come and says, hey, you have a data that is lying in a XYZ database, then I'm able to connect it, retrieve it, and understand it before I start my work, right? Similarly, data warehousing is like a fundamentals, right? If you remember Newton's laws, right? They are uh, they came into existence in around 19th century, right? But still they are intact. Similarly, whatever the advanced tools we are using, right? It is very important that we need to know underlying theory or fundamentals of why we are doing all these things. And that would be covered in the data warehousing. Okay. And the course, entire our course structure is divided into three parts like first class data warehousing, followed by 4 classes on the PostgreSQL databases, and rest of the 10 classes on the Power BI or 11 classes, right? So it's like that data warehousing and PostgreSQL are minor subjects for us, and our major subject is Power BI, right? In a manner, we are making sure, yes, I'm covering end-to-end flow in the data journey. Now, when you say end-to-end flow in the data journey, what it is going to be, uh, let me show you another slide, right? If you see this particular slide, data to insights journey, right? Now, you guys just think of in the current world, right? Every activity we are doing, it is being captured in the form of data. Will you all agree with me or not? Yes or no? Yes, right, right. Not only the business things, professional things, even personal things also. Simple. Today, if you are seeing Facebook or Twitter, whatever the activities you are doing, even the touch on the screen, it is captured as one activity, right? That is the way current technology is there, right? I have seen one famous scientist saying that if you use mobile for just 3 months, right? It's not like that you are going to learn about the mobile. The person who is sitting back of the mobile, right, is going to know more about you, is going to know our habits, our interests, right? Our likes, and what we are planning in the future. They will be knowing those things, right? When you say they, Facebook, Twitter, big organizations, right? A simple example, if you are using a LinkedIn and maybe you would be using it for social networking or searching for a new job, then the person sitting on the other side would be knowing, hey, this person is needs a job, and how immediately he need a job, what is his interest. So all these things happening, right? So all these activities would be captured in the data factory, right? When you say data factory, it's like a factory that we see. Like we would be having factories like furniture factories, car factories, where a lot of cars would be manufactured. Similarly, here these factories are going to collect the information from every devices across the country, right? Suppose if you are having a retail business, right? All the day-to-day activities that we do in that business would be captured and they would be placed in the data factory. Now, for this data factory, we have different technologies are there. I would say technologies or methods we have. Some would be storing in files, normal files, Excel files, CSV files, right? As in when your business is growing, they would be using databases. Suppose if you need to store data in GBs or TBs, then we will go for the databases, right? Where these are the traditional one which provides a accurate solutions. I mean, which provides a reliable solutions for maintaining the data. And further, we have Hadoop file systems, right? Not only databases, Hadoop and came and said that, hey, I will give you a file system based solution wherein you can store lot of data. You don't need to go for the databases, right? And now we have the cloud like AWS, Google, Microsoft Azure, right? But the underlying concept of data warehousing is not going to change. What data warehouse says is that collect the data, store it, transform, use it, right? So this basic logical thing is not going to change. It's just about what is the tool you are using, right? Whether you are using a small one or bigger one based on the size of your task, right? And our Power BI is going to convert all this data into a nice visualization. So, as a Power BI developer, we are going to take up two activities, arts and science, or we can say science and arts. Science is about understanding your data functionally and the business domain perspective and how it is stored and presenting it into a nice visualization where it tells a story, right? As a Power BI developer, that we are going to be a storyteller also by understanding the data and presenting it in a nice pictures, right? So now our focus is understanding about the purpose of storing the data that comes in the data warehousing and learning about one database where we are going to learn more about SQL, structured query language. And then finally, we would be using all the features from the Power BI and going to create a interesting visualizations, right? Now, in this journey, who are going to help us? That is the question. Now, when you say this particular journey, right, they are not going to be done by one tool or one technology, right? So let me move to the next slide. If you see this particular slide, there are some divisions are there, right? And we can say the first part is like operational data or data collection, right? When you say operational data, it can be activities like a purchasing a product in the shop, right? Or it can be observation. Suppose if you have a weather station, it is going to observe whether our temperatures across the cities, across different times, observations, real time data. So in the operational data, we are going to main focus is to collect data and where we are collecting the data in the SQL databases, Cosmos DB, database. These are all like database solutions, right? And event hubs for real time. And this data that is present in the operational store, we are going to take a copy into the ETL, or we call it data injection, DI, right? So where we are going to keep in the Azure Data Factory, Azure Stream Analytics, or AWS, Google Cloud, and everything. And here we are going to use these tools further to do some analytical processing. When you say analytical processing, I'm just giving a simple example how my sales are happening. What, what is the last month sales? What is the last year sales? What is the current year sales? Am I meeting the target of my last year sales or am I meeting the target that I set by my management? So these are like a analytical thinking, correct? So now we are going to use like databases, data explorers, data warehouses, right, to do all the analytics. And Databricks is one of the latest one, right? And I'm going to detailedly explain why this analytics can't be done on the operational side, right? We have a data, we are pulling it into ETL, getting all the data, and we are doing analytics. And once we store our data in an aggregated form, right, or a summarized form, I would say you would be having 1 million records, right? Each record is having entry for one sales item. And what I'm going to do is in the data warehousing or in the analytical block, I'm going to store the aggregated values, like what is the total sales per day, what is the total sales per month, right? And this particular data warehouse, I'm going to use in the visualization, data modeling and visualization, right? So in the journey, we are on the right side, who are close to the business people or the operations team, right? Because they are going to use our visualizations or dashboards or reports and going to take the decisions. So one important and interesting thing with Power BI is you would be having a chance to work closely with the top management, right? If you are in a project where it is supposed to deliver the reports for the strategic decision. right? We are having, I mean, we work with the different levels. I mean, reports would be created at different levels, like executive reports, operational reports, right? And information reports. Now, when we place it in a project that is working for the executive reports, that means you are going to get a nice visibility also at the top management, right? And when we are learning the extreme right, it is very important that we need to know what is happening on our left side, right? That is the reason we should be knowing more about database and the data warehousing, right? Any questions or queries till now? The flow, how it works, right? And where we are in this journey, right? And many of us have a doubts. Hey, do I need to learn Azure Data Factory? Do I need to learn Databricks, right? It's not a way, I mean, even if you're learning everything, that's not going to help much. But simple thing, we should be learning one of these, right, in detail, and we should be SME, subject matter of expert in that one. At the same time, we should have a basic understanding what other components are doing. Okay, will you agree with me on this one, or any questions or queries? Okay, now over the Power BI, right? Just let me open. Uh, yeah, you can put the question, Nika. Okay, whatever the questions you have, just post it in the chat channel. I'm going to watch and I'm going to explain you. Right now, when it comes to the Power BI, let me show you a small demo of it. I'm going to open both the Power BI services, and so this is the Power BI desktop, right? Where we are going to develop all the Power BI reports. And another interesting fact is the Power BI is a Microsoft tool, right? We all know. So that is the reason the look and feel, the user interface, these are all things looks like Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, or MS Word related things, right? If you see, this is a simple report that we created, right, as a part of our exercise. So it will tells us what is our total revenues for mobiles, chocolates, and what is the revenue generated by each teams, a revenue generated by each and every country, right? And how is our sales target? What is our target and till what we achieved it? We are going to learn all these things, right? And each and every page are going to have, and we can have an interactive reports we are going to create, right? And if you see, this page is going to give us the performance of the salespersons and mobile sales. So this is a report that gives us the mobile sales, right? And where it is going to give us the summary, brand wise, product name, and over a period of time, how the sales are trending, all these things, right? And let me show you a comparative. Suppose if I take the PowerPoint, right? This is the PowerPoint presentation. You can see. And if you see, we have different options are there. I mean, we have different tabs and each tab has grouped with the common options and we are having all those things, right? Similarly, Power BI is also same thing. We have the all the groups, home, insert, modeling, view, right? So with respect to data modeling and visualization, the market leaders are Power BI and Tableau, right? Tableau is a bit like the user interface and everything would be completely different because that is a altogether a new tool. But one advantage with the Microsoft Power BI is we can easily start learning the things, right? People or students who have good hands-on with the Microsoft Excel and PowerPoint, they can easily learn the Microsoft Power BI without any doubt or confusion. Okay. Are you saying we need to have a deep understanding on, say, on a tool under analytical data storage and processing and have a high level understanding on operational data? So as I told you, Nika, the Power BI is the one that is having high demand. Just now I told you, right? Power BI and Tableau, these both are currently market leaders, right? And Power BI being a Microsoft tool, it is having a edge for the beginners. Okay, who are the beginners new to the IT world, right? Uh, my strong feeling is that even if you're new to the IT world, but definitely you would be having some hands-on with the Excel, PowerPoint, and these Microsoft Office tools, right? That is the reason. Yeah, Asha, when you say it is easy to land a job, yes, at the entry level, you can land into a job, provided that you are learning in detail about the Power BI and also completing the certification PL 300 and start. And we have a dedicated team who is going to guide you with respect to the applying for the jobs, right? Searching for the job, applying for the jobs, and getting the resume prepared to the market standards, right? Now, where we are. So this is all about Power BI, where we are going to learn creating these kind of reports, right? Along with the Power BI desktop, we are also going to learn about the Power BI services. And within this particular Power BI service, right, we have a good things about the learning. We have a lot of learning contents out there, and we have the sample reports where we can just use them for the practice. And I'm going to create you an account, right? A service account for all of you, right? And you can log in and you can do a lot of practice on top of it. Suppose if you say this is a resale sales for contest, and we are going to provide you practical learning labs and information and experience how real-time projects works, all those things. Okay. And Microsoft, okay, and again there is some labs are there where you would be having some virtual laptop would be open, virtual desktop would be open, and there would be instructions going to provided, and you need to learn those go through those instructions and complete your assignments, right? In this way, our course is designed to target both the certification and job. Okay. And many people has a doubt, is the 3 weeks is good enough? Yes, 3 weeks is good enough, provided that we are religiously following the class, completing our assignments, right? And that is followed by again a second time revision of all the topics related to the certification and applying for the certification, cracking the certification, and then applying for the jobs. Okay. So this is a series of events that we are going to follow. What certification do we need to have? Right question, Helen. I'm coming to there. Any questions with respect to the Power BI? And with respect to, okay, before going to Power, any questions with respect to Power BI? And we are going to learn how to create these visuals, right? And they are going to be very easy. And I'm going to learn two approaches here. One is from the fundamentals, right? How the things should be started from the basics. That is what we are going to cover. And when we are coming to the end of the course, right, we are going to cover the artificial intelligence visuals. Okay. So what is this artificial intelligence visuals? Because now everyone want to make sure that in their particular uh, curricular career that they want to make sure they are knowing about some AI related artificial intelligence tools, right? And we are also going to train you on these all four artificial intelligence tools. Okay. Now, what are these tools means? Okay. I will just give a small demo of this one, right? Normally, uh, if I want to create a visual like this, okay, team wise chocolate sales revenue. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select the visual, drag it and drop, or we can click it. See, we got this visual, right? And I'm going to add the data elements here. Say geography on x-axis and total sales on y-axis. Oh, okay, it's in the reverse. See, we have a simple bar chart, right? It's a simple stacked bar chart, right? Now, if you want to see what is the sales done by each and every country, I mean, within the each and every country, there are teams are there. So how many, I mean, what is the sales with respect to each and team? Then we apply a legend, right? Now, if you see here, New Zealand, the sales done by the Licious team, Melodies team, Smoothies team, right? This is a regular visual that we are going to apply. And after creating this one, we are going to do the formatting stuff, right? If you see here, format your visual, and we do all the kind of formatting that how your y-axis should be seen, how you what should be the look and feel of your x-axis, legends, and everything. Correct. Now we have a Q&A visual that is from the A visuals. Now let me select this one. Now what it tells is, what is Q&A does? Ask questions about your data in natural language to create a new visual, right? Now just typing it, uh, total revenue by geography. Is it- See, okay, I'm just in bar chart. See, I didn't selected any visual and I didn't drag or drop anything. I just told him total revenue by bar chart, right? Further, uh, what we call it is team wise, and we can also add further bar chart, uh, legends by team. See, or we can put a stacked bar chart. Now, with the help of a visual, what I did is I didn't drag anything, or I just told the Power BI report, Jace, can you create me a stacked bar chart to display the revenue, right? Based on the countries. Just it's a natural language we are telling. And we as a Power BI developer going to train this AI visuals, this Q&A. We are going to learn that one. And we are going to see that one during the second half of the classes, right? So not about bar chart, we can clearly articulate this one. I mean, we can simply say that I want to revenue based on maps visual or based on the pie nut. Suppose if I put total revenue by geography in pie chart. See, or total revenue in DoNet. Now, for us to put these questions, we need to learn the things, right? Without learning, how would I know? How would I know what I am going to call each and every visual, right? So in this way, we are going to train you on the Power BI, right? Both from the fundamentals and also to how to utilize the artificial intelligence visuals so that you know all the fundamentals. At the same time, you know how to complete your work faster in your job, right? This is a simple classic example. So a simple thing and how we are going to create the similar thing with the help of artificial intelligence tools, right? Now coming to the certification. The certification we are going to target is PL 300, right? And if you see, this is the intermediate level. Now, many us guys, okay, am I going to get a job as in when I complete these 15 days? I'm giving a honest answer, okay? No, not just covering the 15 days is not going to land on our job. It's about within these 15 days, we are going to get a clear understanding about what is our course of action, what is our next course of action, that learning the things, preparing for the certification, complete the certification, and then applying for the jobs, right? And our journey is not going to be sit just for 15 days. We are going to continue after 15 days also. We should be having a regular connect to understand what level of knowledge you gained and what further needed, right? And also guiding you with respect to the interviews, right? And this is the data analyst role, right? And the level that is going to calculate, I mean, assess is intermediate level, okay? And the validity for this is 12 months, but after 12 months, you can renew it freely, okay? They are not going to charge anything for us, okay? They just want to make sure, yes, we know um, Power BI, that we don't forget it. Name nothing. It's a PL 300 only. You would be seeing at the bottom. Don't worry. Where it is. This is the name is this one only. Okay, Microsoft Certified Power BI Data Analyst Associate. Okay, PL 300 is the code of this certificate, right? And if you see, there is a training of this course is there, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So whatever we are going to learn all these 15 days, they are part of this particular course only. Okay, our course is going to cover 70% of the topics those are required for the certification exam, and we are going to cover it. Okay, and there are some practice exams are there, practice assessments are there, right? We can take n number of practices. Okay, there is no limitation or restrictions, right? And if I see this one, so within the certification you are having the 50 questions, right? And as and when you answer the question, you have the option to check your answer. Okay, and we are going to see all these things. These are all going to come as a part of our practice, right? As a question I can see. Okay, right? And the certification costs around $165. Okay, and you can check your local currency. And this is separately not part of our course, right? And this we would be not needed to register at this point of time. Okay, once we have completely training is completed and we are ready to take the exam, then we can register for this one. And these $165 are going to be purely for the Microsoft only, not for the hack, right? Every year we need to renew our certificate with free of cost. Nothing is going to charge, right? And with respect to the opportunities, we are having humongous opportunities with respect to the Power BI, right? The reason because we all know, right? The data is new oil, right? Now, all the economies are being driven by data itself. Okay, if you come across any organization, if an organization is taking decision means it is depending upon analyzing the data that they are having. And many organizations try to get the data from the market also to analyze how the business is working, right? How the market sentiments are there, to analyze all these things, all the bigger organizations, right? So then the most valuable resource is no longer oil, but the data, right? And to be honest, this trend is going to continue for next at least 5 to 10 years, right? Like when we say this oil revolution came, it has continued with the decades. Similarly, data revolution is going on. So people or engineers who has a sound knowledge on data and who can convert their data into insights are really having the demand is there, right? And if I just put the things like Power BI jobs in USA, 8,000 jobs it is showing, but definitely these are going to be at all the experience, all the levels, right? So let us fine tune further. And in India, we have a dedicated team sitting, uh, especially to help the students on helping them to create the resume to the market standards, right? I'm also part of that one, and also guide them. And also we have a service that we take your LinkedIn profile and we continuously try to apply the job. So if a new job is posted, right, it is very important that we are the early persons or first persons to the apply that job, so that there is a high chances that our profile can be picked up, right? So in that way, people who are busy with the current job or workloads, that there is a separated team is there, they specifically works on, they will connect with you regularly and let you know, okay, this many jobs are applied for you and you may get a call, so please respond accordingly, all these things. Entry level, I'm just taking entry level and associate, okay, because I just want to be precise. Around 3K jobs are there. And if I pick in this one, especially Power BI, first one, bachelor degree, Power BI developer. Yeah, see, 134 to 194K per year, hybrid model, full time. Build data analytic enterprise model using Microsoft Power BI. Develop tabular multi-dimensional model. So we are going to see all these things. Power BI developers, right? There is a good requirement is there. Starting salary 1 lakh to 125, right? And what are they are looking for desired skills, SQL, all these things are there. And let me scroll it down. Remote ETL developer, Power BI developer with PNC, right? Advanced proficiency in Power BI, including DAX, Power Query, and data modeling. We are going to cover all these topics. Solid experience with SQL and data manipulation, right? So SQL is a kind of a English language, I would say, right? In the current world, if you know English, yes, we can easily manage in other countries also, right? To some extent, or almost majority of countries knows English. So if you know the similarly, it's very important that we learn SQL, structured query language, with one database so that we can easily start working in other databases also. It's just there would be minor level of changes would be there, right? So coming back to my presentation, right? We have a small demo. I have Power BI and we have seen, right? So as a part of PostgreSQL, now PostgreSQL is an open source, that means free of cost. right? We don't need to pay anything for using PostgreSQL, and it is going to have both user interface, front end and back end. I'm going to teach you on both front end and the back end UI also with respect to the Power BI, PostgreSQL. Power BI, anyway, we have discussed, right? So these are all the topics that we are going to cover as a part of our course, like data warehousing concepts, PostgreSQL installation, right? DMLs, queries. At the same time, we are going to cover Power BI installation, Power Query, Power Pivot, visualization, and publishing. And we are also going to learn more about Power BI service, how to publish it, how to share the reports to the wider audience, right? How to restrict the report utilization, all these things. Okay. Uh, what positions can we apply for after this training? So after you can be applied like Power BI trainer, Power BI associate, right? Power BI junior developer, and also we assess what's your current experience, right? On which technology you are working on, or on which field, in which field you are working on, right? And normally, what is the level of knowledge you gain, right? Accordingly, we will work on to prepare your resume. Yes, and we can start. To be honestly, we can start with the Power BI associate, and the entry level jobs we can start. Okay, mid level, it depends upon the knowledge level of knowledge you have gained. Okay, any questions after? Helen name, nothing is changed. It's the name change. The code name is PL300. Okay. So basically what we bring to an employer is to visualize, interpret data using Microsoft Power BI. Yes, Damola, you are exactly correct that we are going to create a visualizations so that the management can interpret how their business is running and take action accordingly. Okay. How many years of experience can we show after this course? So my strong feeling is we can start with 2 years like that. Okay, based on the level of knowledge you gain, and that's we are going to assess you accordingly. We will suggest, okay, what is the best level of experience that you gain. Okay, any other questions or queries before we go to the first class? Hey all, once again, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, right? So today we are going to cover data warehousing concepts, right? That is the first topic, first class in our exercise, right? Where is, yes. So within the data warehousing, right? We are going to cover about introduction, and we are going to understand what is OLTP and OLAP. And W.H. Inman and Ralph Kimball, they are the great scientists who has invented these data warehousing concepts, right? And further, we are going to see couple of like star snowflakes and normalize, denormalize. So you are going to learn what are all these topics means, right? Now, coming to the introduction, not only in Power BI, in any technology or any subject, the foundation is very, very important, right? We should be clear with the fundamentals, right? And any kind of a principles associated with that particular subject, we should be very clear. If we are not clear with the foundational things or fundamental things, then whatever we are learning in the upcoming classes, there would be some kind of confusion. So that is the reason I don't want to directly take you to the Power BI and say, hey, this is the tool. You are having XYZ tables, now start using them. No, that is not the right way. First of all, we need to understand why our tables are organized in that manner. That is the important thing we should be knowing. Because within the Power BI, someone, I mean, our project team say that, okay, boss, all your data is lying in sales database, and there are 10 tables. Within those 10 tables, you are having the data. Now start reporting it or visualizing it. Now, how we are going to get a best out of it is when we know why there are 10 tables are there and how they are interrelated, right? What is the significance of each and every table, right? Suppose if we are having a transaction table, right? It may have 5 columns. Why it is having only 5 columns? Why can't it be having 10 columns? So if you put these kind of questions, and all the answers to these questions would be we are going to get in the data warehousing fundamentals, right? I think someone is drawing some lines. Can you please avoid that one? Now, to give the introduction about this one, first of all, I want to show you one diagram. Normally it says that one picture. Guys, how to stop this one? Someone is scrambling on the screen. Disable annotation of others side names. Guys, please avoid scrambling on the screen, please. Polite request. Maybe you not sure that it's happening, right? Let me take a new image. Okay. I'm going to take one simple picture from online. That is data warehousing picture. Okay. This is my favorite picture. I'm just taking it. Now we all know, right? In the current world, a humongous data is being created because everyone are using, oh, right? Each and every organization is transforming their organization that they are using technology, right? They are digitalizing their operations, right? Which means instead of something that is captured over the books physically, now everything is captured in the laptops or computers or servers, right? Now, to manage our day-to-day business, right? If you take a simple retail grocery store or Walmart kind of thing, right? They are going to have multiple stores. Each store opens at morning 8 a.m. or right, and they start business. Whatever the transactions, those are happening, right? In terms of sales, services, everything. Everything is captured as a single record, right? Similarly, they would be having huge number of employees. Now, managing all these employees also needs a HR system, human resource system that captures all your employee details, their salaries, their personal details, right? Everything. Now, database systems, whether it can be a Teradata, PostgreSQL, SQL Server, they are providing the services, database management services to manage all your operational data, right? We call them as operational data because they are capturing the day-to-day activities or operations, whatever the activities are. It can be activity, observation, whatever it may be, right? And these information can be stored in the databases, right? If you see this particular symbol, right? If I just shapes, where is this one? This is the symbol used to represent a database. Okay. So if you see here, that is what we are having. So all your day-to-day, whether it's a marketing team, they are going to have a database that store all their marketing information, right? Sales team, they are going to have their database. Manufacturing team, they are going to have their own database. Now, if you correlate this database to our day-to-day life, I would say this is like our house, right? One database is like a single house. Now, within this database, we are going to have tables. All right, let me take one table. This is the one. Adjust. Now these tables are like individual rooms, right? Even you have one house, we are not going to keep it like a warehouse, bigger one, right? We are going to divide or partition it into multiple rooms, and each room has a significance. And this is for our convenience. When we say that a kitchen, that is used to store all the kitchen related things. When we say living room, all the furniture like TVs and everything would be there. And if you say bedroom, all the beds would be there. Similarly, within our database, we create multiple tables to store different kind of information, employees information, customers information, transactions or sales information, so that whenever you want to retrieve this information, we can refer to that table and get the data, right? Now, these systems, we are calling it as operational system. Now, over the period of time, what happened is that they have become a additional burden, right? Your data is growing on and you need to purchase more and more disks, right? And then some people like great scientist Rolf and Kimball has decided, okay, why to keep them like that? Let us start analyze that one, right? Analyze your data because it is having all your historical information, right? These operational stores earlier they used to have the historical informations also because they're one systems and they started doing analysis. Now what happened whenever you are doing analysis that you need to read entire data. Now at some point of time what happened is these operational systems are getting performance issues and they are not able to take both the tasks that serving the online systems, online operations, and do the analytical, right? So which means there is a performance degradation is happened for both the areas and resulting in the poor performance of the organizations. Now, then the idea comes, okay, let us do one thing. Daily at the end of the business, take a copy. Whatever the new records or records, those are updated, changes are happened. Capture those information into the staging area and then store them into another database system, right? And instead of just storing as it is in the raw data, just keep a summarized data and also metadata. Metadata means information about what kind of information you are storing. So that if someone want to know, hey, what kind of metrics you are storing, we can easily refer to that metadata, right? Now the extreme left side, we are calling it as online transactional processing systems, right? We also call OLTP, merchant center, because they handle all the analytical things, right? Now, to make sure our day-to-day operation or front business is not impacted after business closure at 9 p.m. or 6 p.m. If it's a banks, normally happens at 6 p.m. At after 1 hour. Once everything is closed, take a copy and then store it in the another database. Okay, it's also like another database only. Okay, in terms of technically what this database, this is also the technology wise, it's also a database only. It is not something different. But here in this database, it is going to store the summarized data and all the historical data, right? Now, if you see in the manufacturing unit, right, the manufacturing factory is going to be continuously moving. There is going to produce new products, and it's flushes it sends to outside, right? Now there would be a warehouse sitting near the manufacturing unit or near the distribution. It is going to store all the finished goods or the raw material, right? Since here we are storing data, so we are calling this as a data warehouse. Okay, so this particular thing is going to maintain all the data, historic data, or it's like a raw products, and also summarize the data. When you say summarize the data, it's like finished goods, right? So every time, suppose last 10 years of there, I aggregate them, monthly sales, right? I create a key performance indicator. We also shortly call as KPIs. We aggregate the data and store in the table, say month January 2025 total sales, February 2025 total sales. Like that, we store them, summarize the data. Now, once you've done this calculation and store it, at any point of time, we can quickly use them. Again, I don't need to run a aggregation function on the table, correct? So we are storing the raw data. So in case in future, if you get any kind of a new requirements comes, then we'll refer to the raw data, or else for a existing thing, we use the summarized data. At the same time, to know what level of information I'm storing, I will maintain the metadata. Okay. So this is called data warehousing. And considering these particular systems are used for analytical processing, so the right side part we call as online analytical processing. Processing systems. We also call OLAP, right? Very simple, straightforward, in simple layman language, nothing confusion. Okay. This is the first thing that has pushed for the data warehousing, right? Now, once you have the data warehousing, further you can create data marts. Data marts means they are also like a data warehouses only, right? A particular department, actually, let us say I created data warehouse at enterprise level or at organization level. Now, for a particular department, definitely he really don't need the entire information. And within the organization, there is a data policy that the data exposure should be minimal based on their job requirements. So instead of exposing entire data warehousing to the purchase department, I create one subset of data mart that is specifically for the purchasing, sales, inventory. And we can do the reporting through our data visualization tools, Power BI. And also we can do data mining, further drill down how the things are, how the business is going on, right? So this is the end to end. Even if you use technologies from the cloud, AWS, or some tools from the Azures, right? Or from Google, all these things, what they do is your data is sitting in your operational systems. You pull them, aggregate, clean, and put it in your data warehousing or data lakes, and then use that purpose. Okay. So the main purpose of data warehousing is like maintaining a historic data, maintaining the data integrity. Quality is very important because in future, whenever you want to do some analysis, obviously we need to make sure, right, our data is accurate. If our data is not accurate, then the report that we are going to create, they may give us the wrong results that results in business collapse also, right? Now, let me open a small article from AWS. And the guys article that I'm going to share you are handpicked articles. It's not like that, okay, sorry, we are learning Power BI. That means we should be referring to the Microsoft articles, not like that. Within the market, whichever the best articles. Now, if you see, a data warehouse is a central repository of information that can be analyzed to make more informed decisions. Data flows into data warehouse from transactional systems, relational systems, and other systems. Business analyst, you are going to be the future business analyst, right? Data engineers, data scientist, decision maker access through BI tools. The BI tool is the one that we are going to create, SQL clients and other applications, right? Data and analytics have become indispensable to business and to stay competitive. Okay, try to understand why I'm reading each and every line, because the importance, the significance of this particular article is that much important that you should be learning this. And make sure that you are fully aware. Even if I woke up you at the midnight when you are in sleep, that you should be able to answer this one, right? Sure, Asif, Afsa. Okay. Data warehouse powers these reports, dashboard, analytical tools by sorting data efficiently to minimize the input output of data and deliver query results quickly to hundreds and thousands of users, right? A simple these two paragraphs will gives us what is our main objective, what we are going to achieve, right? And further, it has given how the data warehouse works in the AWS thing. Okay. A data warehouse is made up of tiers, like top tier is a front-end client that present the results to reporting. When you say that top tier, that is going to be our Power BI tools or Tableau reports or whatever it may be, data mining tools. The middle tier consists of analytical engine that is used to access the analyzed data. And if you see here, just this Excel sheet, sorry guys, the middle one is going to be the analytical part, right? And finally, the bottom tier is going to architecture in the database servers where data is loaded and stored. And AWS has provided how they are going to store data stored in two different, right? So I just want to make sure you are having exposure to the cloud side also by going through this article, how AWS, how the data warehousing concepts are there in the AWS world, correct? What are the benefits of using data warehouse? Informed decision making, consolidated data from many sources, right? So we are having many sources and data related to all these sources we are keeping at one place. Historical data analysis, data quality, consistency, and accuracy. Separation of analytical process from transactional data, which improves performance of both the systems, right? That is what we did. We separated analytical processing with the transactional processing, right? Whatever we discussed, those points are in a clear-cut bullet points. And I need your help to go through this article and further make yourself familiarize, right? Now, W.H. Inman and Ralph Kimball, who are they, right? They are the two great scientists who has invented this theory, right? Like Newton, when he has introduced the three laws, he has kept his name, right? Newton first law, second law, and third law, right? Similarly, Kimball and Inman, they have done their analysis and they have introduced their own theories and they have given their name. And these theories are from 1990s, but still we are following these theories, like how we follow the Newton's laws, right? So what Kimball has said is you have multiple data sources are there, like you have the sales data is there, marketing data is there, HR, human resource data is there, right? Now create a data mart, that means a subset of data warehouse for that particular department, and then bring all those together like a data warehouse. It's like in Scrum Master, right? In Agile, it says that, right? Break your business object into smaller, achievable action items and create a user story for that one and then implement that one and deliver it to the customer. Let customer use it and come the feedback. Same thing. Instead of me starting data warehousing, where I mean, creating data warehouse created for all the systems, which takes time, money, and getting the key SMEs, I will start with one particular department, say sales department. I got that system. I will create a data mart and I will integrate them. Okay. It's a kind of a iterative approach. That's what Kimball has suggested. And once you have a data warehousing, then you start creating the reporting layer. like it should be a Power BI, Tableau, any other reporting thing, right? On the vice versa, what Inmon has suggested is, no boss, if you are dealing with individual systems, then you are going to end up with creating lot of hops, right? You would be having lot of data marts because I would be having 10 systems, 10, and there would be coming a new system, then another mart. So what Inmon has suggested is, let us get together everyone. If you have 20 systems, make sure all the 20 systems data crea- is acquired at one place, and create a data model, data warehouse at the enterprise level, right? And then you just take a copy for whichever the requirements you have. Say if you want to analyze something over the employees, get a data mart created for employees, for HR. Similarly, if you want to deal with your marketing related thing, then get a data mart. We call it as a views, creating a copy. Even we don't create an exact entire copy of the system, we create a view. That means it is a logical one, logical object that refers the physical model. Okay. So Inmon's approach is top to bottom. Create at the enterprise level, organization level, and whichever department wants their particular data, then create a data mart. Okay. Now for the Inmon, yes, we need a lot of initial investment, time, getting key SMEs from all the business, because when you are decided that you want to integrate multiple businesses and create a model, that means we need to know the SMEs who can do this integration, right? Now, can you just give your thoughts? Which one is going to be a wise one? Is it Inmon or Kimball? Just after this explanation, what you feel? Is it a Ralph Kimball? Ralph one is good or Inmon? What is your choice? Suppose if you got a chance to select one approach, which approach you are going to select? Okay, then Mon, Kimball, both are there. Okay, neither both to have their advantage and disadvantage. Agree. So both these are successful. That is the reason after decades we are learning them. Right? It's about the organization uh, appetite. Suppose my organization is good enough that I want to keep everything at one place, or I have the money to invest so that I don't need later on sitting with multiple hops, right? So now let us do a comparative analysis between both of them to be having more clear understanding for us, right? So introduced by Ralph Kimball and introduced by Bill Lemon, right? Approach. Kimball, it's a bottom-up approach for implementation, right? So clearly we discussed it in the Kimball that we start with individual departments and we complete each and every department, then we will try to integrate all those departments. So it's a bottom-up approach. Whereas Inmon is a top-down approach, right? We will sit in the enterprise level or in the head office and we ask every departments to come and sit at one place and start creating it. Hmm? Data integration on individual business areas, right? We do the marts at each and every business lines. Whereas in the Inmon, it's an enterprise wide, right? Building time, it is efficient and takes less time because we are going to start with small iterations. It can be completed sooner. It is a complex and consumes a lot of time. Cost, it has iterative steps and is cost effective. That's what we discussed. It is cost is use and development cost is low, right? If you see initial cost is going to be used. Yes, each should be selected according to their requirement. And if you see the Inmon, Initially, the cost is used because we need to get everyone at one place and get the subject matter experts who can do the integration. But once plan is finalized, then the build cost would be less because we know what to be built. It does not need such skill, but generic team will do the job. Yes, as a sales department, I know very well about my sales, I mean, how the business flows. Then we can get it done. But when it comes to the inmon, we need a specialized skills. How the sales team coordinates with the marketing team, how the marketing team interacts with HR or finance. So this kind of specialized skill is needed, right? Here maintenance is difficult. So for Kimball, the first negative point is maintenance is difficult, right? Because we are going to create multiple things, multiple data marts. Now, suppose a employee table is there. Sales department may create one employee table. Similarly, manufacturing department will create one employee table. That means I need to manage multiple employee tables, right? So this is one example. That is the reason maintenance is difficult. Here, maintenance is easy because everything is sitting at one place. You would be having a clear visibility of the things, right? It prefers data to be denormalized. It prefers data to be normalized. Now, what it mean by denormalized? Guys, I just need your attention here because this terminology denormalized and normalized is very, very important because this is going to turn the table whether you are going to become a expert in Power BI or data warehousing things. We need to be knowing crystal clear what this normalize and denormalize means. Okay. Now, before explaining in detail, I'm going to take one example. I'm going to take two tables. Okay. Let me open the sheet that where I created the data. Okay. Normalize and denormalize, move or copy. Okay. I'm going to share you this data sheet. Huh? Now I'm going to show you a couple of tables. Okay. Before letting you what those are, let us see what these tables contain. So we are having a transaction table that is going to store transaction ID, product name, and the customer address and details. Okay. And further more information like how many products, what is the quantity, what is the cost of product, and purchase about, right? So in this table, I'm going to store detailed information about the product, about the customer and their address and everything. Okay. Whereas if you see here, suppose this particular store is in California where we have 1 million customers, right? Within that 1 million customer, at least if 10% customers regularly visit the store, right? That means it is going to be 0.1 million. Now, if whenever they do any purchase, right? If I'm going to store all their detailed information, that means I need terabytes of space, right? Storing detailed information in a single table is called denormalized. Now, what is the problem with this one is that you are storing data repeatedly. Now, just think of it, my address of Harish or Michael, if they are visiting a store within a month 10 times, that I'm going to store 10 times. And we all know, right, the hard disk, it's costly. So the more info data you store, the more you need to pay. And do I am getting any value for it? Not really, because I am just storing the redundant data. Okay. Even for a product name. Now, what I decided is instead of storing repeatedly the customer address, I will have a customer table. In that I will store all the customer related information, right? Now, instead of entire data, I am going to take the reference of it. Okay. So if you see the second table, what I'm going to do is before I am storing data in the transaction table, I'm going to create some supporting tables. Supporting tables. I'm just giving in a simple terminology. A customer address table. Suppose a new customer came, I'm going to ask him, hey, can you please provide your address details? Right? Now, like how I requested you, hey, can you please share your contact information so that I will be storing those at one time. Now, whenever you come back to me, just I'm going to refer I'm going to allocate a unique ID for you, right? For all your addresses, I'm going to store a unique value. Similarly, I'm going to store customer information, a unique value. Products, right? A more detailed information I'm going to store about the product and I'm going to store a unique value. Okay. Now, whenever I done a transaction, I sold a product for a customer X. So instead of storing their entire information, I'm going to store their reference values here. Now, if you compare the above table and below table, instead of storing an entire address that may take some 40 or 50 KB, it just would be stored in 1 KB. That means I'm reducing my data utilization exponentially, right? And the way of splitting the data, I'm just giving a simple example, normal layman language. When you are storing our data by splitting it into multiple tables, we call it as a normalization. Okay. The first benefit we are going to get is reduce the data redundancy, right? And it also helps us in the analytical processing, right? So the more normalized, then it will be helping us to do more of a analytical processing, right? And in data warehousing terminology, these reference tables are called as dimension tables, dimensions. Okay. And this sales table, which is capturing the transactions or observations, we call it as a fact table. Okay. So data that is present in the single table in denormalized form, when we are storing it in multiple tables, we call it as normalization. Okay. And the table that is going to store all the activities or observations, we call it as facts because it is storing the facts. You have done a transaction, it is a fact, right? There is an observation. And which are all the tables? Those are supporting this fact table. By storing further more detailed information, we call dimensions. Hey, what is the dimensions of the table? What is the dimensions of your laptop? Like that. What are the dimensions, right? Now, if I show this in a pictorial representation, right? Let me pull that article in front of you. And this article is again from our Power BI itself, okay? Because I got the articles from AWS, from Microsoft, everyone. If you see this particular diagram, right? Our sales table is sitting at the center, okay, which is termed as a fact table in normalization theorem, normalization concept, okay. And this fact table would be having employee dimension that is going to store employee IDs, right? Let us consider customer IDs. And similarly, seller product dimension. Now, if you see here, a product dimension is there. So all the product IDs would be here and respective product table. Okay. Now here the relation would be there from the fact to dimension table is one to many. The reason because if I have a identifier as one, if it is referring to the product table, there you should be having one record. If you are having multiple records, then it won't be knowing which product it should be selecting. Okay. Considering this diagram looks like a star, we call it as a star model. star schema. Okay. And in case, suppose if you take here, customer address is there, right? In the customer profile, we are storing the customer address here. Say in the customer address, I have customer name, address. Now again, when it comes to the city and state, right? Within a city, you would be having hundreds of customers. Now again, instead of writing Washington DC, Washington DC, I will give a unique identifier for Washington DC, like here it's in New York, and I am going to refer, right? Now here in this case, what it is happening, a fact table referring to the dimension table further referring to another dimension table. So it's a multi-level. Now, when you have this multi-level dimension, it is called snowflake schema. Okay. When you want to make sure that you want to reduce the data redundancy, then we need to go for the multi-level dimensions, right? And based on the project requirement, we can decide whether we should be going with star schema or snowflake schema. Okay. Now, what happens is when you are going with snowflake schema, your performance would be reduced. The reason because just think of it when you have denormalized. If I want a transaction, suppose if I go to the store and I say, hey, this is my bill. There is some issue with my billing that you need to correct. Then storekeeper would hit one and get the bill. Now it is in one table. Our query refers to the one table and get the data, right? Now, in case if it is loaded in a normalized form, then whenever we hit the system, it is going to hit the fact table. Fact table further connects with all the dimension tables to get the detailed information and display over the screen, right? So when you go with Snowflake, that means it again further refer to another dimension table. So when the levels of dimension increases, the overall performance would be having a opposite effect, right? So is it clear with normalization and denormalization? See, and here it is. Fact table stores observations or events, can be like sales orders, stock balances, exchanges, rates, temperatures, and more, right? The dimension key columns determine the dimensionality of the facts, right? Similarly, where is the dimension table? Yeah. Dimension table describe the business entities. It describes about your products, your employees, your customers, places, all those things. The most consistent table you will find in the star scheme is date dimensions. Okay. Similarly, fact tables are used for the aggregations. Say you want to see what is your total sales, total customers, right? Total towns. And whereas dimension tables are used for the filtering, right? Say if I want data from product XYZ, I want the data from the sales department. Then we use dimension tables for filtering. And if you see this particular diagram, one to many. Star means many or all. Okay. So this is about star, right? So we have covered data warehouse, data mart, snowflakes, and data normalization, dimensions, and fact tables, right? Any questions or queries with respect to data warehousing? Okay. So the three articles that I am going to share you, whether it's a AWS one for the fundamentals of data warehousing or article about the Ralph Kimball and Star and Snowflakes, right? You are supposed to go through all these articles, watch the recording so that you would be more familiar when you come to the next class. Okay. And also I am normally make sure whatever we learn in current day class, 30% is repeated in the next class so that you will feel that, okay, I'll know these things and further I am learning new things. Okay. So Let us stop the class here.